great to be able to hear you at the conference. And I'm here now just really wanting to talk to you about being an academic theologian and also a priest in the Episcopal Church and a wife and mother.
Yes.
What that means. So first of all, can you tell us about your family?
Sure, I'd be happy to. My husband Lance, we are high school sweethearts, so now we've known one another longer of our lives than we haven't. We started dating as seniors in high school and then married fairly young in college as sophomores. We were 19. That was absolutely perfect.
I call that very young, having been married at 30.
Okay. Which now I look back at my sophomores and I'm like, oh my goodness. But truly, number one, it was really good and right, and God has been incredibly good because we really have grown up together, and definitely we know other young couples who married have grown apart, and we really have grown together, and that's a great gift. Then 8 years into our marriage, once we had done a good amount of our schooling, our daughter was born, and she's now 9, Kate. And then 3 years later, our son Maxon, and 2 years later, our son Kindred. So I now have a 9, 6, and 3-year-old.
Okay, and what's life like on a daily basis?
Oh, that is a lovely question. I often say that our lives are a beautiful chaos that I wouldn't trade for anything. My husband and I have flexible jobs, so I am a professor and I work at my parish, and he is an organist at a different church and adjuncts at Wheaton College.
So does that mean you're both working in the end full-time, or is it more 2 part-time jobs?
I definitely am working full-time and the church, so that's full and a little.
Yes.
And then Lance's church job is half-time, and then he teaches one class, and he also, I failed to mention, teaches about 12 or 13 piano students.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, he is full-time too, but it gets cobbled together, and I don't think that's unusual for musicians to kind of work in several different ways. And that has been the case. We were blessed as well to be able to go through school at the same time. So we did college together, master's together, PhD together.
Wow.
And I know a lot of couples have to trade, but it worked out with scholarships, and of course we took out some loans as well, but we were just able to go through together. And that was a great joy. So a normal life is we sit down at the first of the week and look at our insanely colorful Google Calendar with his stuff and my stuff, and now our daughter is starting to have her own social life. And we say, okay, who's doing what? And basically it works out that we can split the week in maybe 60-40. It used to be 50-50, but now that I'm and have been full-time, I probably end up working a bit more than he does. Now that being said, it is really vital to me, and I wouldn't put this upon any other woman, but it's vital to me that I get to be with my kids a portion of each day. So that means, and I don't say this to brag, but I'm just talking brass tacks here, I get up probably at 4:30 every day and write or work, and then I either teach or go to meetings, and then I have time with my kids. To go to school stuff or to just be, I mean, right now the 3-year-old is home, and so he's not in school. And that makes life stressful. I won't deny that. I always feel like, oh man, there's work that I wish I could get done, but it is the perfect, I also really wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't, I couldn't kind of sit at work all day every day, nor could I sit at home all day every day. And I discovered that about myself probably about 2 days after my daughter was born, and we came home from the hospital and was like, I love her and adore her. I really can't wait to go write my dissertation. So for me, that balance is incredibly important, and I think my husband would say the same. He's really thankful that he gets to be such a vital part of their lives.
Yes, I used to say that we both of us didn't miss out, and that I wasn't 7 to 7 away from the home, but actually didn't miss out on anything really in being in ministry and also being a mother. So taking yourself right back, I know that it's not just women in ministry, it's actually women across the professions can really be thinking about how am I going to juggle work and having a family. And so putting yourself right back to then, can you say the sort of thoughts or concerns or what you thought about in having a family or worried about or look forward to, just to put back and then also reflect how it's actually worked out?
Sure, that's a great question. As an undergraduate student, when I moved into biblical studies, I remember incredibly clearly one of my first questions was, how can I do this and be a mom? Because by that point I was already married and we knew we wanted a family. So I went to a professor. Actually, there were no women professors in the Bible department. Wonderful men. I can never say how much they influenced my life. But I went to an English professor and she had a young child and I said, okay, tell me how you do it.
Yes.
And that having a personal experience to hear, a person to talk to. It was a small conversation, but that was a really important moment in my life because she spoke these encouraging words of, it's totally doable, it's totally possible, it's not easy, but it's rewarding. And so that kind of helped me see, okay, this is, that's an interesting question. I loved biblical studies so much. I think if she had told me it's really, really hard, I probably still would have pursued it because I had this just unconquerable drive towards studying. But it was very wonderful that she said you can do both. Now, when we got into graduate school then, I have to admit, this is kind of funny, but I have to admit, like, I would live 9 months ahead. I would be like, okay, what if I get pregnant now? Where are we going to be in 9 months? And then the next time they would, okay, well, we're 1 month forward. We're 1 month forward, which is a really not probably the most confident or spiritually peaceful place to live for 8 years, but I have to admit that was a concern. If I had life to live over again, I wish I would have been able to have a bit more trust, a bit more openness that if a child came, God would provide. And so by the time then, I also had very good mentors in my doctoral program. Also, interestingly, men are the one who spoke into this, so great mentors for me. But when I entered the program, they said, you know, here's the best time to have a child for us in our system after comprehensive exams. And I really appreciated the clarity of just someone saying, here's the best plan. And gratefully,
did God with the children keep to the plan?
Actually, yes. Which having now many friends who struggle with infertility, I realize the incredible gift of really the first moment at which we said, okay, we're kind of open to this possibility, then we conceived our daughter. And she was born, I defended my comprehensive exams 7.5 months pregnant, and then she was born. And then I was writing dissertation, as was my husband, so that was a really great time to have a baby. That's when we started splitting things in half, writing and caring for her. And then I started my first teaching job, and the day that I started teaching, that morning, I took a pregnancy test and complete shock, was pregnant. And so I had to go to my brand new dean, whom I met 2 weeks before, and tell him that, and he was wonderful. He had 4 children of his own, and he was like, I don't know how we got that 4th one, so I totally understand. So that was actually a challenging year. I was finishing my dissertation. I had my first teaching position, and I was pregnant. Thankfully, I had a pretty good pregnancy. And then he was born 10 days after I defended my dissertation. So I walked into that defense room very pregnant. But then after that, we moved to our teaching positions now, and also we're open but not kind of planning for a child, and our 3rd came. And by that point, I was able to have a small maternity leave. That's still very much a struggle in America, good maternity. But my college has now, since it has an even better policy than when I had my son. So.
One thing that this is I think to finish, one thing I've actually had to struggle with sometimes is I have been able to be wife, mother, priest, bishop, finding time for yourself sometimes. How have you gone with that?
That is a great question.
I also had aged mother as well, so there was another factor going on as well, where my children were very young. So it was just that challenge of finding time for oneself, and I just wanted to take it.
Those morning times are really key for me, the quietness of not just work, but devotional time, and then also running. Running is really the kind of blood that feeds me, and that's kind of where I have my personal time. I'm probably not very good at like hobbies or just time for enjoying something, because I do enjoy running, but it's also kind of has the voices in my head say it needs to be done. But that's, I think maybe, I don't know if that has to do with my being a mother and a priest and a professor. I think just my own personality leans towards performance and doing rather than relaxing. So that's probably something I still need to work on.
Yeah. And is there any one thing you'd want to say to a woman in ministry?
Yes,
With family.
I would say I realize every situation is different. And even as I tell my story, I realize what privilege I have, that a lot of women don't have the economic opportunities to study or the support of friends. And my parents, my mother now has been very supportive. I realize not everybody has it. But I often say to my young women, my students, or women in my parish, don't just automatically assume that you have to make a choice for one or the other. I really kind of resist. I know a lot of women will say, well, you can't have it all. I kind of think you can have it all.
I think we believe in the God of abundance myself.
Exactly. Now, you may not have all in the 100% perfect, and in two respects, I would like to speak to this. I know we're going a bit long, but I've had to give up a bit of control over my children.
Yep.
Willingness to let my husband, who is amazing, willingness to let others step in. And literally the moment I was ordained, when I was kneeling at the altar at my ordination, and that's such a holy moment, the thing that God's Spirit spoke to me is, you need to put your children on this altar. And not that I'm an absent parent and I don't care for them, but I needed to relinquish that I always need to be in control. And then I've also had to relinquish on my scholarly vocational life that I can't write as much, teach as much, or be at church as much as I would like to. But I also know it's a season. Like, they will not be 9, 6, and 3, so probably for about 5 more minutes.
That's right.
And so I'm comfortable with having it all, but not having it all 100%.
At once.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.